Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's Sunday night. I haven't told any stories in a while, so let's just tell some stories. Let's talk about the Freemasons. I'm one of these types of motherfuckers that thinks the Freemasons are like the Illuminati. Not all of them. You might be in the Freemasons and be like, man, I wish it was like that. It's not really what you think, bro. I'm not suggesting every Freemason lodge is some sort of Illuminati secret cult. But I do think that there is a hierarchy within the Freemason Brotherhood, whatever, and that you could go down avenues of it, join little cliques where you might have privilege. You might be connected into something that other people, regular people, aren't. But I'll tell you a story about my experience with this. The hardest thing that I ever did was get an education. I've been homeless twice. I was born homeless. I went homeless again right after high school. You went to college, you went to the military, I went to the streets. A drug addict, gang member, living in the streets. I've survived a criminal life. I've had enemies. I've been beaten with baseball bats and shot at. My own dad shot at me. I've had beefs with gangs, with whole sides of town. Multiple sides of town at once, where I have to navigate down a slim corridor. It's the only way I can be safe. I've watched lots of friends die. I've survived drug addiction. I could go on and on. The hardest thing I ever did, I told myself that the day I registered for classes. I went back to school, I think I was, 28? Something like that. 28 years old, I decided I'm gonna get a college education. Everybody looked at me like, why? It wasn't for a job. I wanted to do something for myself. I wanted to prove that I was smart. I looked at an education as being smart. Smart motherfuckers get college degrees. I barely graduated high school. I went to 4 high schools in 4 years, got expelled from 3 of them. Finally graduated the 4th. Went homeless right after that, as most people expected. But then 28 years old, I've been through a lot. My dad was murdered in a gang war. Everybody was fucking dropping off like flies. I decided one day, I got a little bit of money. I'm rocking and rolling nowadays. I kind of separated myself from the gangs and from the streets. I'm gonna get an education. I was standing there on campus in a fucking ocean of baseball hats and backpacks and hoodies, and everybody looks the fucking same. They're all the same age. They all dress the same. A little bright-eyed, bushy-tailed little students, and then there's me. This fucking criminal piece of shit up there. What the fuck am I even doing up here? I went for it. I enrolled in a full load of classes. I didn't really understand how much homework and books and all that shit goes along with it. It was like 4 classes. I figured no big deal. Tailored my schedule to it. I was working at a construction company, but I was in the office at that point. I wasn't out in the field. Working in the office in a construction company was sweet. That was one of the best jobs I ever had. But I was only in that office for about 6 hours a day. I wasn't even doing full 8 hours a day, 8-hour days. I was getting paid good money though. Bonuses all the time. And I struggled my ass off to get that education. I have learning disabilities, dyslexia. I was diagnosed with dyslexia when I was a little boy. I had it bad too. There's different levels of that shit. I was taken out of regular school and put into special schools. Not just the special program at a school, special schools, whole different building, man. Whole different school. Full of little losers and retards and weirdos. And then me. You might start off normal when you get into a program like that. After 1 year, 1 semester, you're just as much of a loser as everybody else. It changes you. Being in those kinds of weird systems, it changes you. So I had this whole trip about being educated. And I knew this was going to be hard. I could barely read. At 28 years old, I could barely do any math. I could get through 1 + 1, 2 + 2. I could get through that, but anything after 5 + 5 or 6 + 6, I'm counting on fingers. I don't know what the fuck we're even talking about anymore. I'm lost. I was like known as the dumb guy. Wasn't nobody trying to tell me I was smart. The exact opposite. I got my books. Shit was expensive. Back in those days, California, college tuition for a state school or even community college was rather cheap, as long as you had residency. You know, as long as you're from there. If you were out of state, they'd rape you. I waited in line for fucking hours going through their stupid registration and all that shit, picking classes. You couldn't do it online back in those days. I had to pick my fucking classes. What a pain in the ass. Oh, I was so frustrated after that whole process. It took all day. Then I have to go buy my books. You had to go fucking stand at the fucking bookstore. I couldn't afford none of the books. And someone told me, oh, you can walk a few blocks down 17th Street. This was in Santa Monica. And you can find a used bookstore that sells the college books. So I went there. Even that shit was expensive. I'm thinking maybe I'll rob a motherfucker for their books. You know, I'm just like not knowing what to do. Parking was a drag. Parking on any college campus. If you've ever gone to any college campus in the fucking world, it's all fucking drag. I'd have to show up for 2 hours early before any class just to sit in that parking lot and play that stupid parking game. Find somebody walking and drive behind them. Hopefully they weren't just dropping something off at their car and then going back. You know, hopefully they were actually getting in their car. It was a hassle. I would never time it right. I've always been one of these types of motherfuckers that has to piss a lot. And I drink tons and tons of fluids. And I can't tell you how many times I sat in that car, crossed legs, having to piss, thinking I better find a parking space soon. So I gotta run across campus and find a fucking bathroom. But I finally started getting somewhere with my degree. Meaning that I was passing classes, I was enduring the nightmare of school. I have PTSD, and one of my fight or flight responses at the end of going through dealing with teachers and students and just being on campus around all those people, I would just be ready to fucking break out of there. I'd chew my arm to get out of that campus. I would jump in my car and fucking slam through the streets, just like fucking Fast and Furious. Just to get me the fuck away from this school every day. Just triggered as fuck. Just get me out of here, get me out of here. I'm gonna kill someone. All these little kids up there, I call them kids. Everybody up there was 10 years younger than me. Little fake ass gangster motherfuckers. People think they're hard. You're at college. Hard motherfuckers are out on the block. But I finally had credits and courses under my belt, and I had been there for a few years, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna start putting this together and see where I'm at with my degree. I've been working towards a degree in business. So I went to the student services department, and they help you go through all your credits, and it's in the system, and that's what I did. And I knew that I was going to be close to graduation. I forget the number, but there was a certain number, 100 or 80 credit hours. I forget what it was. Whatever graduation was, I was close, but I didn't know the exact number. I figured that maybe I'm 1 or 2 classes away, but I got to be getting there. I'm close to it. I got to be there. So I'm sitting in the student services building. This old Mexican cat comes out. He doesn't even pay me no mind. He's just like, Mr. Azriel, follow me. So I follow him back into the office. He never even looks at me. He sits down. I hand him some paperwork that I had. He's looking at the paperwork. He fires up his computer. Never even really pays me any attention. I'm a talker. So I'm looking around his office and I'm just like, so, just trying to lighten the mood. How you doing, and making comments on shit. He's not paying me no mind. Not even responding, nothing. It's like I'm just talking to myself. He was wearing a pinky ring that had the Freemason symbol on it. My grandfather was a Freemason. My grandfather's father was a Freemason. All the men in my family have been Freemasons. My grandfather wears a platinum pinky ring with the Freemason symbol on it. It's platinum and ruby. Very expensive ring, Freemason ring. I mentioned to this old guy who's going through my credits, and he's looking on the computer and looking through the credits and just going, nope, and he's kind of giving sighs and grunts, so it doesn't sound good to me. I don't really know what he's doing, but it doesn't sound encouraging. And I mentioned his pinky ring. I say, and he's not even paying me attention. I say, my grandfather has that same ring that you got, but my grandfather's ring is platinum. And he's got his glasses on the end of his nose. He looks up from his computer. First time he looks at me in the whole thing. First time he really even acknowledges me eye to eye. He looks at me right in my eye and he says, does he really? And I say, yeah, he's got a ring, but it's platinum. Yours is gold. My grandfather's ring is platinum. He took the paperwork that I had, crumpled it up, threw it away, grabbed the paper behind him, starts going towards the computer, doing all his little shit. Then he pushes it back across the table and he says, sign this. And I say, what is this? He says, congratulations. You just graduated college. You're a college graduate. And I was just like, what? Are you kidding me? And he's like, no, this is the application for your diploma. You're graduated today. And he walked me out, shook my hand 100 times. We were like best friends on the way out. So you tell me, hey, I worked for that shit. You think I skated through, I got off on time? I worked for that fucking degree. But you tell me, is there something to this Freemason shit? I think there is. Thanks for watching.